What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I have just watched Amberlynn in her I'm leaving YouTube monologue. She went live around 8 a.m. She was talking about the phone call with her aunt. She says that her aunt is suing her, that she's not in a good mental state, that she never has sued anyone despite being a victim of all of this slander online. And she has created a world where all of that is positioned to silence her. And she goes on to say this has worked because she's taking this month-long break. And during that month-long break, she's going to journal everything out and she's going to consider publishing them for sale. She then talks about how slander is hard to prove, so she's just going to stand on her truth. She has this amazing support group. They've agreed with her taking a break. Despite what anyone may think, she has an amazing savings, that she's responsible. She just needs to focus on herself rather than YouTube drama. And then she goes on to talk about how the community is just lopsided, right? She's using her voice for those that don't have a voice. This break is apparently going to conclude in November. And despite her love for creating content, everything has became overwhelming to the point she feels like Hannah Montana and has multiple lives. She then starts to do some things that are very strange. Number one, she mocks this as a quote, mental health leave of absence. I don't know if Amber fully understands what having a job is like. I don't know that Amber fully respects how much money she's made on this platform. I don't know if Amber understands her ability to go get a job, a physical job. At this point, more than likely impossible. She does not have reliable transportation, for one thing. She laughs about this. And I feel like she doesn't understand that a job changes just about every person. She has this very skewed sense of what a job is. And she goes on to talk about how this has changed her. Amber, a job changes people. When you say that you have this mindset that this changed me, you've been paid very well. Everyone changes because of their job. Most people go to their job and feel like they can't say the things they want to say. They can't make the changes they want to make. They can't do the things they want to do. And the fact that you sit here and just speak of this the way you do is so tone deaf. And I can only imagine the chargebacks you are going to receive during the next month of apparently zero content, which, by the way, you ultimately position as some type of punishment for your viewers. You then continue to say that, bad things can happen to people that get treated like this, and that people should take this opportunity to sit back and see how harsh they are to you, and that everyone is a hypocrite, but people willingly turn away from it. It's never been this bad. Everyone is mean. No one has boundaries. Honestly, Amber, what I heard is someone that wants to be a victim of a world they created, of situations they've created. To that point that you literally sat there and said, oh, I come online, I'm bubbly, I'm happy, but then, the drama starts and just my BPD takes over. This insanely hypocritical stance of the same people that you think need you for content also want the absolute worst for you. If they need you for content, why would they want anything terrible to happen? And why are you sitting there always projecting that anyone that has a reaction channel, well, they must not be happy with themselves. They must not like their work. They must not like their relationship. She goes on to say that the community was made to destroy her, which has left her removing herself from it because the haters, the reactors, they won't leave voluntarily. What I also find extremely interesting is two things. First, she talks about watching Tippy. Now, most creators on this platform that talk about a channel will generally get views over to them. Somehow, this is not the case with Tippy. But she was watching Tippy talk about how Shani was treated and how it impacted Shani. And Amber starts crying over this, saying this destroyed her. She isn't who she's meant to be. She didn't deserve 10% of this. Let me be really clear. Amber is addicted to the attention being online gives her. And the whole, this has changed me mindset is very true because she has made this her job. To sit here as an example today and effectively tell us that Rain and Petal's eavesdrop was fabricated. It seems like what's truly happened is she can no longer control the narrative. She has been called in a lie, and now it is time to walk away. The same accountability that she pleads everyone else to have, she refuses for herself. Casey, if anyone, after all of this, has a cut and dry case of slander because what Amberlynn has portrayed to the community for years. I just want to also close out with when I covered this phone call on my Patreon, the things that were brought up on the Patreon actually got the Patreon taken down. That is how sensitive these topics are. The things that our aunt spoke about. And what I find very interesting is that Amber's aunt is very much uniquely positioned to come online and basically say, all of your perceptions of Amber are true. And here's why. All of the things that you want to believe about Amber are more accurate than you think they are. And here's validation. And according to Amber, she can't do anything about that. She can't say anything. She's not going to be online. Let me give the counter argument as well. If Amber truly took control of things, if she truly sat down and said, look, I have to sort my life out. And she came back in a month and said, look, I've lost this much. I've went through all these courses. I've taken these classes. I've realized that while not everything I did could be construed as negative, a lot of it was viewed by people in a specific way. So what I'm going to do instead is commit to living my best life, sharing that with you, and ignoring anyone that brings anything other than positive reinforcement for these changes. Because I firmly believe, and I've said this even with Chantal, if they just went out and made content and they weren't constantly involving themselves in interactions with the community or justifications, validations of the things that they do, things would be different. If you look at Chantal as an example yesterday going out to that gorge, yes, there's people that criticized it, but not everyone. Some people, in fact, most people I watched at least gave her credit for going out and trying. Now, the trying part was kind of overwhelmed by dramatizing it, basically showing the state that she's in and how just being mobile, how just walking down what amounts to a small ditch became a massive challenge. But overall, people gave her credit for going out and trying. And I think no matter what Amber says, if she truly started to make changes to her health, people would eventually either find something else to talk about or just move on. The end result of this is Amber expects people are just going to stop talking about her, move on, and this is all just going to die off. And I don't see that happening. I think this is going to be a boiling pot. And I also firmly believe her aunt is going to continue to turn the heat on this pot up higher and higher and higher to the point that Amber's likely going to have to come back before this self-proposed month, or when she comes back, all she is going to hear is about what has been spoke on, and she is not going to be able to make any content without continually having to address this. Love to know your thoughts on it. Appreciate you watching it. I'll be back soon as I can with more commentary.